here on Kickstart this morning. We're joined by Pastor. We're joined with by. Okay.
We just came from word of that day.
The other one was a dangerous one. This one we have to add. In studio with us is Pastor Hannington Mutesasira. Quite an interesting man, a man of many talents. When you go into the NGO world, you will find him there.
Welcome to the show, Pastor.
Thank you, Ronnie. Thank you, Che. Thank you, Eki.
He is in the marriage ministry. And Musumba, this issue of in-laws, very many times when we talk about in-laws, first of all, we're excited to get married. Yeah. But when we get married, sometimes people forget that marriage has, the person you're marrying has a family they come from. And because you've married them, they become your in-laws now. And
second family.
Yeah. In-laws. Many times when you talk about in-laws, the word out there is in-laws.
You're shaking bad glass.
Yeah. Are negative. For you, what you've been married how long, son?
13 years now.
13 years. Congs. And how have you managed your in-laws?
Managing kind of makes it like it's a project. It's really not. Yes. I believe it's a beautiful thing, actually. Personally, I don't come from a family that's so big. So the fact that I got married was an opportunity for me to add to the family that I already had. Wow. And trust me, it's been awesome. It's been awesome. They're not just in-laws, they are my brothers, they are my sisters. Actually, my brother-in-law is one of the closest people to me. I was actually his best man when it came to picking his best man. He said, no better person to pick than my sister's husband. That's so cool. It's that kind of connection that we have. So in-laws are not bad as we are made to believe. They're actually good people.
Do you feel they've been stereotyped as dangerous or as
we need crisis management for in-laws right now.
They say mother-in-law from hell. There are movies that have been like that. Monster-in-law. Yes.
Yeah, yesterday I saw a clip of a mother asking the daughter that your friends bring here people and they are donating cars, they are donating houses. For you, yours is donating flowers. Moreover, the flower is plastic. Anyways. So there is that kind of negative connotation that tends to be attached to in-laws.
Yes.
But I think majorly because we, as a society, really have not appreciated much the whole concept of families coming together, and we fail to understand where, let's say, the in-laws are coming from, or understanding what it means really to be in marriage and what marriage entails. When you get married, marriage brings together two families. Yes. Sometimes actually more than two, because now your wife's mother has a family, her father also has a family. All those families, actually, when you try to, you end up
have several
families that come together. But I believe most of the time, because we rush into this whole thing called marriage, we tend to neglect some of the key things that we ought to consider at foundation stage. One of them is, what kind of family am I getting married into or am marrying into? Because then I'm able to understand the dynamics in this family, how they relate and all that. You do not expect things to change simply because you married from that family or you got married into that family. Because families along the way, they form traditions, they have cultures, they have all these things that are unique to them as a family. So whether somebody is married or not, those things that they form along the way tend to continue with them. So now, as I get married into this family, I ought to understand, how do these people celebrate? How do these people care for one another?
What is their routine?
What are the things that they do? There are families that celebrate Christmas together, or Easter together, or they attend these important days together, or if it's a public holiday, they gather together, whether it's a daughter who is married. So now it's you, the husband, who is marrying into the family, to understand that actually this
happens.
family,
This is it.
this is what happens. If she goes without her husband, questions are going to be asked.
Yes.
And it can also be the other way around. You know, it can also be the other way around. So if you do not understand that, then when that time comes and you get the invitation that, hey, by the way, next week we are going home to do this and this and this. Now, you are going to be offended. You're going to be like, this family is interfering. These in-laws are interfering
Too
in my
much.
life.
We
Too
need
much.
space.
And yet that is how they have been living all their lives. So it's very important that you understand that from the word go.
From the God.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. We have just started unpacking this whole notion of in-laws.
In-laws.
Some people might even be thinking, you are taking our daughter, now we are angry, we are unhappy. You know, things like that.
No,
like,
true.
yes.
Somebody told me that, by the way, I hated my brother's wife for some good time.
Somebody
It took me time to get up to appreciate her. Not that she treated me badly, not that she was not lovely. She was a beautiful girl, but she was taking away what I believed was mine. And I said, okay, tell me that, you know, our brother is the big brother, so he would take us once in a while out. We go for ice cream. He takes us swimming and all. So we felt secure with him. We felt the comfort of having a big brother around us. Now, this girl comes up, and all of a sudden, he
You
can't
are
do
no
what he
longer
used to
the
do. Of
center
course,
one.
he gets married, he's busy, and we actually didn't like that. We felt like she came, she just walked into our lives, and she took away what was dear to us.
Right.
Now
So,
imagine that for a last born of the family. We take a break.
yeah, we take a
But,
break.
if you do have any questions, our SMS and WhatsApp line are open. 0753104104. Musumba will be able to answer your questions. Are you having trouble with in-laws? Or maybe for you and your in-laws are, you know,
Yeah, you
wow,
don't see
so
eye to
You
eye.
don't even want to leave each other's company.
Yeah.
Yeah, just let us know what your experience is, and we definitely will be getting into that when we come back from this break.
That's right, daughters and sons and with mothers and fathers-in-law. But we had a very good discussion here in the break about how to best establish a good relationship with our in-laws.
I wanted, if you don't mind, I wanted for Musumba to first speak into. We talked about routines. We talked about one being able to understand the kind of family that they come from.
Yes.
But before we get into mending and working with those relationships, would we talk about the culture, the effect or impact of culture in the family? Yes. You know, to either building or bridging the gap between in-laws or widening that gap.
Yeah, culture, very, very, very important. One time there was you know, we get to interact with people, and so there was this relationship that was really, really, really rocking. But the problem was the lady went to visit the husband's place, father-in-law, and she sat in a chair. She didn't know that the chair she sat in, that's his chair. And for her, later on, she says, where I come from, there is nothing like this chair is for so and so. And for her, for them, she committed double sin, if I may say that. First of all, she sat in chairs.
Then she sat in daddy's chair. I have a story about that. Our friend, Arthur Mwanje, we had gone to visit his fiance's home. Yeah. And so we walked in. Of course, we had a good relationship with the mother and what were friends. So we walked in, and he goes and sits in a chair. So when the father came in, the father paused and looked at him. And the father took another chair and sat. But he kept on staring at him. We did not know that he had sat in the father's designated official chair.
Yes.
So I know what you mean.
So even as we talk in-laws, very important that you have a softer landing. So now the gentleman would have prepared his wife that, you know what, you can't sit in such a chair because of ABCD. So I know we get married in different cultures. It's my responsibility to let know my wife some of the key things that are very crucial in my culture, so that when in-laws come, I don't seem to be offside. And the other way around, if I'm to go there, she has to tell me that, hey, by the way, at home this is what happens, and blah, 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 blah. So when you come, we'll remove shoes and stuff like that. Because some of the things that we do unknowingly are the ones that rub our in-laws the wrong way. You know, how can he do that? How can she do that? Doesn't she know that in this culture you kneel down when you're greeting parents? Now, if I've gotten somebody from a culture where kneeling is not an issue, then I've got to tell her that, hey, when we get home, this is the expectation. They may not say that, but this is what they expect. So as we get to be our each other's keeper. So I tell my wife what she ought to do when she comes home, and the other way around, it kind of softens the ground.
Right.
The other is to be each other's first line of defense. That when it comes to my family, I am going to always be the shield between my family and my wife.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
so I don't go and ill talk about her, because what you say to them is the picture that they are going to remain with.
Right.
And when they retain that picture, it's very difficult for them to undo that. So maybe this one day you've not had breakfast, and maybe you're passing by your parents and say, I've not had breakfast today. Then the mother will be like, wait.
She
So
doesn't
that
even
means
cook
this
for
lady is not even. So even when you've been having breakfast for the last 10 years, she's going to keep that one thing, you know. And so it's very, very, very important. What do you say to your people about your spouse? What do you say to...
But in line with that, as you condemn, I'm sorry for jumping in. I think I remembered in one of our sessions that we had, and they were saying to your family, in that line of defense, in your family, you communicate the positives.
Yes.
You're the face of the positive for your partner, for your wife, or for your husband. So you talk very good. Yeah. When it comes to negative, you take the blame for the negative.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
Because you are their child, you are their brother and sister anyway.
Yeah.
So that helps protect the other individual. That you're always talking positive about the other person rather than putting them, because it is easy you're not part of us, you're not our flesh and blood.
Yep.
So you are an outsider.
Yep.
It's easier for us to say, your movie. But our very own blood, you can say, which shall be okay. Yeah. So yes, you are continuing in your...
Yeah, so it's very, very important, because then you are able to kind of create a safe environment for your wife or your husband to slowly but steadily get involved and get accepted in the family. So what you say about them, what you do with them, is going to actually say a lot to your parents or to your family members about this very person. So I think one of the reasons why we tend to think that in-laws are bad people is because our own spouses have actually not been very good ambassadors as far as we are concerned. You quarrel, the first phone call goes to the guy who handed over the sister to you. You have a misunderstanding, mother is the first one to know. So it becomes a very big challenge to mend these relationships, even as the two of you reconcile, by the way. You can reconcile, but for them, already they think you don't.
Now talking about, what exactly causes friction between people when they're in-laws, cultural differences and things like that. And just to wrap up this conversation, what are the steps or the measures that we can take? I know Ronnie and I have not yet stepped into that.
We're headed that
we are
We're
tapping
headed
on
that way,
Ike's
but-
desk.
2
But
years down the road, we shall be having this,
I should say, just before Musumba gives us a bit of how to mend those relationships, I should say that one of the things that the impact that I noticed with culture with my in-law was in greeting, just the greeting. I remember when I dropped her daughter home, and I was going to meet her. So in my mind, I was like, I'm respecting, let me take a hand shake. In their culture, they don't do that. They do. The only time they actually don't do handshakes. You have to humble yourself, go down, need a bit. Yes, and then they either touch your shoulder, and that is a greeting and acceptance and what. So that caused a bit of friction.
Can I ask something? We're talking about more on the cultural bit and the cultural side. Now, for example, I'm an in-law. I have in-laws, but I'm also an in-law. You understand? There are times when you can think that your in-laws actually don't like you, but the fact is, or you can say that let me give an example. If I have a boyfriend and we're going to fiancé and we're going to get married, and his sisters or his brothers just do not like me. And the fact, in true perspective, I have seen this with a lot of some of my brother's ex-girlfriends. They are bad manner. No, I'm telling you the truth.
They
People
just
who are
have bad manners.
Yeah, and it's love can blind you people. Love can blind, and you can even turn against your family and say, "You people hate me." You people, and then after a few months, you come crying. I need someone. Yeah, they left me. You understand? And sometimes it comes down to a personal level. How can we not just mending? It's not even mending because
but establish even from their own goal.
When we say mending, it's like that the in-law relationship is natural. It is broken. Something that we just have to mend. But how can we just, as you said, establish
or bridge or build that
good ground with in-laws or potential in-laws?
I think the first step is really to make sure that you get it right from the word go. When the foundation is broken, it becomes very, very, very difficult for the building to stand. So many of us then date in secret. We date in the dark, and we pop up at the last minute, getting married to this person and stuff like that. So there is no time for you to phase into the family. There is no time for you to really get to understand in detail, but also for the key stakeholders in your relationship to get to know who you are. So when you don't do that, instead of you having a softer landing, like we were saying earlier on, you're always kind of looked at as an intruder, as an outsider, one who has come to take away what what their brother or sister has. Lo and behold, if they have money or they're more loaded than you are, then you'll be called all sorts of names, So and maybe this person that you are taking from this family has been the provider or has been a key pillar to rely on in the family, and then they're all like, okay, she's come, now this guy is not going to be bringing sugar anymore and stuff like that.
Right.
So how can we do that? I think it's very, very important from the word go. As you begin dating and you know that this relationship is heading anywhere, make sure that you get to meet the people, get to meet the parents, get to meet the siblings. Not really that they may accept you, but for you also to understand them. Truth be told, you may like this gentleman when you get to interact with the brothers, you interact with the siblings, you're able to understand that, wait a minute. There is a story of a gentleman who told the daughter-in-law that, I'm not worried about you, but I'm worried about my son.
Oh, wow.
I'm not sure he's ready for marriage.
Wow.
And there's no better way to give an assessment of the son than the father. You get what I'm saying? So don't run away. Don't date in darkness. Get to know this family really, really, really. If the relationship is to work out, fine. But sometimes we get resistance. We get challenges as far as being accepted is concerned, or even accepting the other people, because there was always a wall separating us from them right from the word go. So get to know who these people are. Allow them also to know you for who you are.
Right.
Then it becomes very easy. You're not now all of a sudden an intruder, but you're somebody who is coming to be part of their family. That's why you've attended weddings and people are like, I had only sons, but today I have a daughter. Oh, I had only daughters, but today I get a son. So they are coming from that kind of angle.
Yes.
But then the other thing also, when you allow your people to interact with your potential husband or wife, it gives them time to speak into the decision that you're about to make. And so at the end of the day, yes, the decision will be yours to make, but here or there you are getting some bit of feedback.
Yes.
Now, if they give you feedback and you don't take it, let's say they always see the guy with other people and they're telling you, hey, I think this is what is happening, and you don't listen.
Right.
No, along the way, if you go ahead and make that decision to go ahead with this person, if things backfire, then they'll be like, we told you. Or they'll be like, okay, if he chooses to go in that direction, he's on his own. That's why you find that even when this decision has been made, there is a lot of friction, that's why it's very important. Try as much as, especially with parents, to make sure that before you make this important decision, have their blessings. Yeah.
Very, very good.
Then the other, what I think is also very important, as far as this whole thing of in-laws is concerned, is also to understand where the other person is coming from. Sometimes they mean good, and honestly, they mean good.
Yes.
You've not been a good husband to their daughter, and honestly, you don't expect anybody to smile at you.
Yeah.
You've not been a good wife to their son, and you don't expect anyone to be smiling at you. So instead of just saying in-laws are terrible and all these other things, it's time for also, it can also be a good time for you to reflect, what is it that perhaps I am not doing? I am not doing well, that I need to change.
Yeah.
What is my attitude when they come? Some of us, when our in-laws come, you enter the bedroom, bang the door, and the only time you come out is when they have left.
leaving.
Or they come, you don't even think that,
You don't plan for them,
you don't plan,
you're not hospitable.
You are not hospitable and any kind of thing. So they will say, we won't go back to Hannington's place. We won't go back to Ronnie's place, because when you go, the attitude, even when you have not said anything, somebody can just feel that there is something going on. So they're better off staying at their houses and their homes, and they're like, okay, we just leave. We'll love our sister, but we only interact either on WhatsApp, or we meet when we meet at church or wherever.
Or
so,
when there's a function or something at home.
So sometimes it's also an opportunity for us to assess ourselves. How are we to these in-laws? Are we meeting the expectations? There's some of those unsaid expectations. When there is a burial, maybe their side, do you go and attend? When there is some bit of need, what do you do? When there are these key days when they gather together as families, do you once in a while go, for you it's ever excuses and excuses and excuses and excuses. So such things kind of like put you at a distance when it comes to in-laws.
Thank you very much, Pastor. This has been an enlightening